There is a huge debate when it comes to crystals. So many people will say crystals are in the Bible, crystals are okay, crystals aren't okay. I've heard it all. If you're wondering if crystals are good or bad, or if you're a Christian and you need to know if you should or shouldn't be using crystals based on what the Bible says, this is the video for you. Thank you so much for tuning in to Chosen Verses. As always, if you know me, you know I'm honored that you decided to watch this type of content. Listen, we got a good one for you today. We're diving into a highly controversial topic, which is crystals, those little rocks, those little shiny things. Actually, I got a couple of them here. But listen, after this video, these bad boys are going in the trash. They're going in the trash, and I'm going to tell you exactly why. So stay tuned. Before we dive into the video, I just want to say, again, I'm honored that you decided to be here. So if you like this type of faith-based content, please do me a favor. Go ahead and hit the like button. Consider subscribing. And if you do, and when you do subscribe, go ahead and tap the alerts so that you will know when new videos just like this are dropping. So at Chosen Verses, if this is your first time tuning in, I'm definitely going to give you some elements from my own personal opinion, but we always dive a little bit into the Bible. The topic of today is crystals. Any of y'all use crystals? Listen, there are a lot of crystal people out there, including Christians, that are using crystals. And here's the truth of the matter, because we're going to get right into it. Are crystals in the Bible? Yes. Are they in the Bible the way people use them today? That's what we're about to answer. And the answer is no. So in regards to crystals being in the Bible, there's a couple of key verses. In Exodus, there's crystals that are mentioned being on the breastplate of the high priest. In Revelations, crystals are mentioned. In fact, in Revelations 4:3, it talks about God's throne shining like jasper or carnelian. However, too many times people are taking these few verses and skipping over the other ones that actually really matter. So that's probably why you're here, right? Don't worry, I'm about to talk about it right now. So here's the thing about crystals. The big thing in regards to the naysayers, the people who say you should not use crystals because it's against the Bible, well, there's some key verses, right? If you look at Deuteronomy 18:10-12, it talks about no one doing divination, sorcery, etc. So on the surface, when you think of having these little rocks that are shiny and look nice, well, on the surface, you say there's no way that this is sorcery. I'm not doing any witchcraft or spells or divination. However, you got to look into the definition of divination. You got to really understand what divination really means. So I got to ask my good friend ChatGPT. I brought Chat with me to the video today. So let's ask ChatGPT and find out what divination really means. My Chat's name is Atlas. Don't judge me. Hey Atlas, what does divination mean?
No judgment here, Daniel. Divination simply means trying to gain insight into the future or unknown things using supernatural methods. This can include things like tarot cards, astrology, or interpreting signs and omens, often associated with seeking guidance from spiritual forces outside of God. In the Bible, though, it's pretty clear that divination is something to avoid because it replaces trusting God with relying on other powers.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Thank you, Atlas. So at the end, you heard it say that it deals with replacing God and trusting other powers. So let's look at crystals. There's all these different crystals, right? There's a crystal for protection. There's a crystal that gives you money or will help you attract money. There's all these different meanings behind the crystals. Now, divination, the definition was pretty clear, right? Replacing the source. This is clear-cut a form of idolatry. And you have to understand, when you dive into the word, the closer and closer you get to God, the closer these types of things are going to be revealed. And the more you're going to understand, hey, I need to be relying on God as my source for everything, for prosperity, for protection, for all of these things. So if that's the goal, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but for me, it's the goal. So if that's the goal for you, what are crystals really doing? What purpose are they really serving for you? Because if they're what is attracting money for you, the rock instead of God, or if they're what's protecting you, why would you even need God? Right? I can guarantee you God is not in the rocks. That's pretty clear cut. It's also pretty clear cut that this can be seen as a form of idolatry. So one key verse I definitely want to read off for you to understand how things constantly change, but the deeper meaning could be the same. And I don't want you to be deceived. I don't want the devil to use his one power and deceive you into thinking because, oh, well, crystals are harmless. You know, I've even heard the argument, well, there's a crystal in almost every microchip because it's a good conductor of power. At the end of the day, even if that is true, which we do know that's true, the rock has no power. The rock is conducting the power. So without a power source, the rock is powerless. At the end of the day, it's so important to not let yourself be deceived. So let me read this verse off, because this is a great example of how idols may look different and they can be changed and sound different, but it's still an idol. So in Psalms 115, 4-8, but their idols are silver and gold, made by human hands. They have mouths but cannot speak, eyes but cannot see. Those who make them will be like them, and so will all who trust in them. And then one more verse, right? One more verse. Isaiah 44, 9-11. All who make idols are nothing, and the things they treasure are worthless. Those who would speak up for them are blind. They are ignorant to their own shame. Wow. So I know I said one more verse, but there's a lot of other verses that I'm not going to read verbatim, but the Bible does tell us to flee from idolatry. The Bible does tell us that we should have nothing but God as our source, as our power, as our light. Maybe you didn't know, but if you watched up to this point in this video, it's essential you throw those bad boys away. Get rid of them. It will be my personal advice. It's just an opinion. I will never tell anyone what to do at the end of the day. It's about personal conviction, right? So if you're not convicted and you're watching this video, cool. But if you think that this rock is your source and it is bringing you whatever you think it's bringing you and you're removing God, please explain to me. Let's have a conversation. Drop it in the comments. Explain to me how God is still in that situation if the rocks are what are giving you what you think you're getting, whether it be protection, money, whatever it may be. I would love to hear that. And like I said, I think it's so essential that we as a group, as a community, we come together, we have these discussions, and then from there on, we make concise decisions to do the right thing and to do what we feel we're chosen to do. Because it's called Chosen Verses for a reason. So thank you so much for tuning in to Chosen Verses. I hope this has been a compelling conversation for you to ask yourself the question, are crystals good or bad? And should you be using them or not? Stay tuned and see you next time.